Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Destiny Walker. I'm the owner of Destiny Hope Candles. And on this channel, I will be doing lifestyle vlogs as well as candle business vlogs. And I just want to do a quick video of just a few basic things that you need to get started with candle making. So I have a list, so it just may be, I don't know how long the video is gonna be, but it's kind of detailed. It's a lot of things, and a lot of the things, especially on Amazon, that I will be describing and talking about, it will be listed in the description underneath the video and whatnot, with the links and whatnot. And I get commission off of those links. I found out how to do that, but I do use those items. I will purchase those items, or if the item isn't exactly what I use, I kind of found the same item, because some of the items, like maybe one or two items, aren't like there anymore. So or like they're sold out and they're not coming back, or I got it from somewhere else. But you know, I have a similar product listed and whatnot. So yeah, so let's get into the video. Okay, so first thing first is, most importantly, I believe you should start off with your wax, because your wax is basically your foundation of like what jars you're gonna use, how you're gonna brand yourself, what is your marketing scheme. I use paraffin. When I first started off, I was doing wax melts. I use soy. I still use soy for my wax melts because that wax is pretty good. When I tried to do candles, even though it was more of like pillar candles, it wasn't necessarily these candles, but I was using soy wax for my pillar candles. Didn't smell anything. So, and it was just, you know, use 8% and you should smell it. It didn't work. So I gave up on soy, and I feel like soy isn't honestly the best. I think soy is just very difficult, and don't be fooled by the whole marketing ploy. Like I said, I use paraffin, like a comfort blend wax for $6.27. That's what I purchased. I purchased a 20-pound block of that, or cube of that. And I haven't tested with it yet, but I've heard great reviews. The video that made me purchase it, I found it from Black Tyborn. I'm gonna link that video underneath, and I'm gonna also link a video underneath of his as well, of what made me kind of feel comfortable switching to a paraffin wax. Because like I said, don't be fooled by honestly the marketing ploy that these soy wax businesses are portraying, saying that paraffin is bad for you. Yeah, if any wax can be bad for you if you're putting chemicals in it and it's just not good quality, like yes. But people use paraffin wax. Some people use soy wax. Soy wax is harder to use. It's harder to get scented. Also, soy wax uses bits of paraffin wax to stabilize it, because soy can't form on its own. It can't be used on its own. Most soy waxes have a small percentage of paraffin in it, so they can say it's still natural soy wax, and it don't have to necessarily come out saying that it's, you know, it has some paraffin in it, or that it's necessarily a paraffin blend. So watch this video below. It was very detailed, and I felt comfortable switching. And also, I don't care about the idea at first about the marketing ploy. Well, I was fooled at one point until I watched that video. But thank God I'm not anymore, and I'm going for a paraffin comfort blend wax. I'm not even sure if it's still if it's just paraffin or comfort blend, because it doesn't really say blend, but the name is blend, but it says paraffin, so that confuses me. But I'm going for a wax that honestly that works well for beginners. The only thing about it, they said it was messy to work with. I'm fine with that. As long as that wax smells good, I'm fine with that, and it's easy to wick, and it looks nice, and I can test it real quick, and I don't have to wait 3 months to test like a soy wax or maybe any other paraffin wax, maybe, because they said, you know, this wax is easier to use. So most definitely I'm using this wax. But yeah, before I was rambling, wax is your foundation of like your marketing. As you can see with soy people, they believe that soy, you know, is better burning, or you don't get soot or anything like that, or you don't get, you know, bad gases coming off that are dangerous. Any candle can be dangerous. Not even that, not just, you know, being dangerous. Like I said, soy also uses paraffin. There's paraffin blends. These people that love coconut waxes, that's a type of paraffin, or that's a mix, or that's not soy, or like straight soy. They also say about the whole sooting thing. Any candle, including a soy candle, can soot and mushroom. Mushroom is basically, honestly, just based on the wick. And it's when the wick like sucks up too much wax and fragrance oil that it can actually burn off, so it starts to curl and mushroom. Look, I've been learning. But yeah. So, and then like also, if it's not wicked correctly, any candle can soot and create black smoke everywhere. If you don't wick it right, that's your issue if you're not wicking it correctly. Which brings me to my next factor of Wix. Wix, I wanted to go into like jars and lids because that's one thing too. But I want to go into Wix because Wix directly fall under your wax. Like with soy wax, there's CD Wix. You can also use Eco Wix. And there's other wicks that you can use. There's HTPs. I'm not sure. I don't think that's necessarily just for soy. I don't know. I haven't dealt with those waxes, with those wicks. Don't know if I ever will. Honestly, this works. I'm fine with this. Honestly, I ain't no switcher. But there's different types of wicks out there. But for soys mainly that I know of, Eco and CD and CDN. And when I CDN, it's just a different variation of CD that burns slower. So you get a bigger burn time, a longer burn time. And a burn time is just, you know, how long the lifespan of your candle. You know, if you burn it, if you burn it all from the top to the bottom, 30 to 50 hours and whatnot. But yeah, I want to go into jars and lids, but we're just going to go into Wix because Wix, like I said, go right after wax. So the wax that I use, I wanted to use CD or really CDN, but with COVID going around, it's harder to, like a lot of those wicks are out of stock. CDN is basically out of stock most of every time. But CD is fine too, but I prefer CD. But looking at all the videos that I watched that made me kind of like see which wax I wanted to use, like Jeff Stanley Handcrafted, Black Tyborn, I watched their videos like multiple times. I've been studying videos back to back. And with them, I remember there's a video that Jeff Stanley Handcrafted had made using the wax. He's done like maybe 2 or 3 videos. He also made an ebook on the wax, and which I didn't need to buy it, but I did anyway. It was cheap, so I bought it. And also what made me buy it was because he did a video on testing the wax with the specific jar. He had got sent some jars, and they were about like, he said like 2.9 to like 3, which is close to my jar. My jar is like 3.25. So I wanted to go off of the wick that he used, in which he tested some wicks, and he used CD or CDN, either one of those. And he also used LX. Now, LX, they say, is the best choice for IGI 4627, but I was afraid to use it because of the reviews that it got, the mushrooming, the sooting. So LX is a bit more difficult to wick, but they say that it actually pays off, and that honestly is the best burning wick that you're supposed to use for that wax. But I was afraid to use it because of the reviews and people saying there's a wicking issue. But not everybody's a professional, so I have to realize that not everybody knows how to wick a candle, or they're just going off of this one size, or they're going off of, like I was going to do, but thank God I didn't. Be careful of the suggestion sizes that are on, especially I think it's Candle Science I bought them from. Candle Science's chart, they are like 1 to 3 sizes too big. They suggested me to buy a 18 or a 20. It was either a 18, 20, or a 22. So I went through all the comments and whatnot, and they were saying like a lot of the issue was, especially with LX, the sooting and the mushrooming, but also mainly like wicks in general with their suggestion chart, they were a 1 to 2 sizes too big. They always says on 1 to 2 sizes too big. And I figured that anyway, due to the fact that when I looked on there, I was like, that don't look right, because they went from like 2.9 to 3.5. There's so much space in between there. You can't tell me that my 3.25 jar needs a 20, LX20 or LX22. So I was gonna go with that at first, like the 22 and the 20, like a size, that size and a size down. But reading the reviews, I kept going lower and lower. So I went to a 20 and 18, and I went to an 18 and a 16, because I was going through all the reviews and people saying that they use a 3.5 jar, they use a 3.2 jar and whatnot. So I was getting like really lucky or like blessed off of like reading those reviews and getting some feedback on that. And when I see what other people use, and some people even used the wax that I'm using and whatnot. And also even brought up Jeff Stanley in one of the comments, I believe. But going back to his video, he did like one of his most recent videos with that wax that he was using when he tested all those wicks. He said that CDN worked as well, it was fine, but LX worked better. He said you would definitely get a better burn with that one. So make sure you try to work with that one if you can, and you know, test with that one to make sure you find the right wick. And the wicks that he was using, like a 18, a 16, and I believe a 20. And he said around like 16 was the best, but he said he wanted to try maybe wick it down to a 14, which made me purchase the book portion about the wax, because in there I wanted to see, because he said he's going to test it off camera. So I was like, okay. So I was hoping and praying that he actually did test it and he put it in the book. So when I went to, and also one reason why I wanted the book from him was because of the temperatures. That's one of the most important things when you're making candles: temperatures, the pour temp, how hot they heat it up to, you know, when to pour your fragrance oils. Those are like making and breaking of your candles, and like the fragrance and scent and stuff, and the hot throw and cold throw, stuff like that. So that was the main thing I wanted. But then the wick thing, also the fact that his jar was like relatively close to mine, I was like, okay, I can work off of what wick he chose and like a wick up and whatnot. So I bought a 14 and a 16. So he said 16 was the best for his jar, and which I looked it up on the website of the jars that he was using, which was it said a 3. It was 3 inches in diameter, and mine is like a 3.25 or 3.2 or something like that. So in the book he said 14. Cause I guess, and I'm hoping and praying he just didn't put 14 because he thinks it's 14, but I'm hoping and praying that he put 14 because he actually did test it off camera and whatnot. So I bought a 14, and his jar is, you know, 0.25 inches, you know, smaller than mine. So I went up to a 16 as well. I bought a 14 and a 16 12-pack sample for both of them. So hopefully I don't have to go up to an 18. Hopefully I don't have to do that. You know, if I need to, then I will. But hopefully the 14 or the 16 will be just right and whatnot. Yeah. Now on to what I originally had as second on the list, but now it's third, which is jars and your lid combo. So this is important because honestly, this is what the wax and the wick is going to be in. And wax, what happens is that certain waxes have a certain level of jar adhesion, and you want to make sure that whatever wax you use is going to adhere to your jar. Like there's been an instance of some female entrepreneur that I saw a while ago. Her customer sent back a candle, or actually she got sent back a candle just because, and then when she opened it and she was thanking God, I believe so, that it didn't get sent to her customer because there was no jar adhesion. Like it legit like shrunk, because wax can shrink or expand. Yeah, look at me learning. But wax can shrink or expand, and it shrunk so much to where it didn't adhere to the jar like it was supposed to. So it legit, like if she did it like this, the whole like candle came out of the jar because it didn't adhere to the jar. So that's important for your wax and jar combo. And also it's just, your jar is just the symbol of your brand. Like what are you going for? Or if one thing also is, you know, like I said, branding and marketing. Like, are you going luxury candles? Are you going minimalistic? Or are you going for simple? Or are you going for, you know, they're just different things. And the main thing, honestly, you could say is, you know, luxury or minimalist or something else, honestly. Because if you get a luxury jar, you know, if your jars cost like $3 to $5, then, and you're trying to sell a luxury candle, you don't have to necessarily do this. But, you know, I would suggest, and most people suggest that, you know, you use a luxury wax. So it's not just, oh, I sell a luxury candle. Because at some point I was going to do that because I didn't care about the whole luxury wax thing. I just know that the look of this jar, this is what you're buying. You're not buying a coconut wax and all of this. You're going to buy a good smelling candle in a expensive jar. Follow that. You can see that story in my Alibaba. And actually that leads me to Alibaba. But yeah, like I'm saying, you can see that in my first video back of my Alibaba experience purchasing my jars and my lids. and whatnot. So I finally found a vendor there, thank God. Hopefully, you know, it's a good experience. And when I should be getting my jars sometime around, hopefully next month. They've already like left the harbor, the border, and the 14 days out. I don't know if that means 14 days out to me or 14 days, you know, on the, you know, the sea or on the port, you know, shipping in the boat then to get to me. Yeah, most people suggest if you're getting like a luxury, you know, expensive jar, then you should try to use a coconut or apricot wax to use it as your, you know, your selling point as well, you know, because people may care about that. You may not care, some people may not care, it doesn't really matter, you don't have to, but it would probably be suggested for most people, you know, luxury candle jar, luxury wax, and wooden wicks, honestly, because that's a luxury too, rather than like a regular cotton wick. But you don't have to do that, you can switch it, you can do what you want to do, because I was gonna do that at one point. I didn't really care about that. It was just, I was just gonna make it a luxury candle because of how expensive the jar and it was and how much the candle was going to cost me to make. So that's one reason why your jar matters. And also just to know, like, actually I have a course that I have created and whatnot, like how many candles can you make and stuff like that. But it's more of going into how many to purchase and, you know, how much of wax you need to buy and how much fragrance. That's more of something like that. But I do have a course that I have already created. I just haven't, you know, put it out there or try to sell it or anything, because I'm still learning as well. But honestly, like, it's some good information there. Like, all the things that I've learned, I will be updating it as I go, like with me actually testing those things out and whatnot, because I have like learned so much during this process. And just before even getting my supplies and testing it, I've learned so much within this like few 6-8 months to a year. So, you know, thank God for that. But I have just been, you know, waiting to get an audience and, you know, put myself out there more to, you know, release it and whatnot. Because when I actually do start working with that wax that I'm using, I have a business booklet on it and whatnot, if you want to use the wax and the stuff that I'm using as well. But yeah, going back into jars, like with my jar, what I wanted for myself was something matte. I loved the matte black, even though I went back and forth between it to like a matte white. But I ultimately went back to it because I want a craft label and a cork lid. And a craft label made me even love craft and the black words in a matte black jar is the fact that when I put the craft label on something matte black, that black pops off of the font and the words off the label because of the jar. It looks so nice to me. And I switched to white because, you know, just looking at Erica's videos, I do still with my studio like that, you know, a bunch of white and black and some greenery and browns and whatnot, because stuff I like that minimalist, bright, airy look. And that's what I was gonna try to go for with my candles. Like, I wanted something bright and white because I do like white, you know, neutral colors and whatnot. But then I looked at it, and thank God I actually, when I was searching it up, I found the black jar with the cork lid, I found the white jar with the cork lid and whatnot. Yeah, so thank God I found those, and I said, okay, it does look nice, but the cork just doesn't sit as well on the white jar than it does on the black jar. So I went back to that, and because it took me a while to find a vendor, like even on Alibaba, because either they had too high of an MOQ, they lowered the MOQ, and then it became more expensive. Like, the people, I'm be honest, most of the people that had the perfect jar that I wanted did not have a cork lid. Or if they had a cork lid, then it was too expensive. So it was just like, hey, so I gave up on that. And this is where it comes into the luxury thing, because the only place I could find that candle jar type that I wanted, the matte black with the round bottom, because I don't like a flat bottom. So that's one that I was looking for too, which is why I say the people who had the perfect jar, because they had everything I wanted, like the matte black, the size, because I want at least 3 different sizes because I'm extra. Even though you can build it, I wanted to know, like, do you offer 3 different sizes that when I'm ready to go up and make a double wick candle, triple wick candle, can I come to you and be like, okay, I'm ready to order these now. I'm extra. Like, you don't have to do that, but I'm extra. And when I want to like be building that working relationship and that business relationship with you already, to where I don't have to, you know, pay pay you to have custom jars, or be out of luck if you don't, if you only offer this one, or try to then go find somebody else who offers that same jar with different options. I want to know, do you already offer those options as we're building, so I don't have to go look for nobody else, because it's already hard enough to find you. So I finally ended up, actually it was one of the first people that I had spoke to, and thank God, like, I remembered it, and like I went back to the conversation. I deleted it. I was able to go back to it because I saw something else that they sold. I said, this like the company, and I wondered, would it, if I spoke to them again, would the old conversations come up? And it did. And thank God, because I went back and I looked at it. Quick story time, of course. I went back and I looked at it, and I was like, why didn't I want to purchase from them again? The only thing was because the price was perfect. MOQ was low. They had exactly what I wanted. The only thing about it was the size. The sizes, they had 3 different sizes, so that's a blessing, but they weren't too spaced out. Like, I would have rather like a 10-ounce candle, a 14-ounce candle, and an 18-ounce candle, or something like that. That's too big, but I'm just going off of that. An 8-ounce candle, 12-ounce candle, 16-ounce candle, something like that. They offer, like, this is just the jar though. So go 2 ounces down, and this is like the actual fill weight of the jar. So they offer like a 10-ounce jar, a 12-ounce jar, and I believe a 16-ounce jar. I think it was 14. It was one of them. So that's only like 2 ounces apart. And because I want to do, like, I'm extra, so I want to do 1 wick candle, 2 wick candle, 3 wick candle. I want to do something like that. So, and if I'm charging like $10, $8, $5, $6 more, $12 more for a candle with a double wick, like, how many ounces is it gonna go up? Like, even I see that as like, why would I pay this much more just for another wick when it's only like 1 ounce or 2 ounces more? That's the only downside to it. They had on the side, they had everything nice and perfect. The only thing about it was just that, honestly, like, the jar sizes were too close to each other. And the reason why I didn't go with them in the first place was because I was afraid to go through with something like that from Alibaba and like wait for the shipping. Because you're gonna hear me say I'm extra a lot, but it's because I wanted to go ahead and just have my jars. But it was so few in between for me to actually be able to get an American vendor for that. Because the American vendor I tried to get was Wood and Wick Co. And that's when I tried the whole luxury thing, because that candle would have been like $18 for me to make. So I would have had to charge like $36 to $40 something to make a profit. So thank God, because I was coming up on purchases. I was getting my money. I was coming on purchases. So I said, okay. And some hit me. I said, do I really want those? Y'all said, of course, around the time when I'm finna purchase everything, I'm getting ready to purchase everything. Now, my mind is unsettled. At first I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get these. Now my mind is unsettled. Now I'm over here thinking, do I really want to get these though? Should I go look at it? Thank God I did, because it worked out. Hopefully this is the way God want me to go. Hopefully it's the right way, and I'm going in the right direction. But yeah, so jars is also important, like I was saying, even though I just did a quick whole story time and rant. But yeah, jars are definitely necessary in your first few things to find out what you want with your business. Jars and lids, wax, and wicks. And another thing about jars and wicks that like go hand in hand is their size. Like I was saying about how my jar is 3.25 inches wide. Like, depending on your jar size depends on your wick. So like I was saying, like a 14 could be too small, a 16 could be this and that, because you just have to read the suggestions, like I was saying, and see what I mean by that. But basically, your wick size is determined by your candle jar size, because your wick can be too small or too large for your candle, and it can either burn too hot to where it's a danger, or it can burn too weak, and your flames can sizzle out. You can drown your candle, as in like it tunnels. Basically, like it doesn't create a large enough melt pool, so the middle of the candle is melted, but the outer rings of the candle is still solid, so it's dripping down on itself and it's flickering the wick out, and your wick won't stay lit, and also you won't be able to smell anything either. So that's why a jar and your wick go hand in hand also, like, you know, just based off of size. I feel like I didn't really describe that as I should have, but hopefully that made sense to you. Next and most important thing is number 4 with fragrance oil. Your fragrance oil, like, it's a candle. Like, of course you need fragrance oil. That's the purpose of a candle, is the scent. So you have to choose your fragrance oils and whatnot. I went out on a limb. You should purchase samples, but I went out on a limb and got like 16 ounces of 6 fragrances when I first started. I purchased 8 ounces of 5 scents because I discontinued one of them because it was basically a scent from another company, you know, Bath and Body Works. I said I want to be original, do my own scent, so I discontinued that from when I first launched and whatnot, and now I have 5 scents. Now on to Amazon basics. Of course you're gonna need, you know, supplies to help you like create your candle. So first on the list is going to be a pouring pitcher, and all of these things that I described, like I said in the beginning of this video, in the intro, it will be linked down below. And of course it's off commission, off of my links. I have like a business account in a way and whatnot. So what I link down there, you know, if you purchase, you'll be helping me out and whatnot, and it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't hurt you or anything like that to just click the link in. But if you don't have to buy it from me, you buy it because you need it. So, and I'm just giving you a direct link to it. So yeah, I never really understood why people had a problem with commissions, because it's like, you're not paying the person or anything. If anything, you're just supporting them because they helped you, they link something for you. It doesn't hurt or, you know, take away anything because you needed the product, you like the product. So I don't see why people had a problem with commissions. But hey, I may not understand, you may understand, but hey, so but these are some important things that you're going to need for your business, which is a pouring pitcher. I put 2 options. Currently I've had a bigger pouring pitcher, but I have went to a smaller pouring pitcher, which is the 1 liter pouring pitcher. It's a small one. You'll see it on my Instagram, and well, here too, because I uploaded my reels from my Instagram to here, and they do numbers. But yeah, you're gonna need either a 1 liter or a 4 liter pouring pitcher for either your double boiling method, and just in general, you're gonna need a pouring pitcher to pour your candles. Like, that's where you're gonna put your melted wax in. It's either where you're gonna melt your wax first, if you're doing a pouring, if you're doing the double boiling method. If you don't know what that is, you can look that up. It's all over, you know, YouTube and the internet and stuff like that. Or if you're using something to melt down your wax, and you just pour it directly in there to measure it out and put your fragrance oils in there, and, you know, mix it up and whatnot, and then just pour it into your jar. Number 2 is going to be a gram scale. Now, memory box candle, I'm gonna link her down there below as well in my description box. Watching her video, she was always saying, you know, you need a gram scale, you need a gram scale. I was like, I don't need a gram scale, I need a regular scale. I understand what she's saying though, because a gram scale or like a kitchen scale is so much more sensitive. So if I put something on it, and if it measures out 3 grams, it'll measure it and whatnot. So when you're measuring out fragrance oils, it's so light. It's really like, say if you only need like a few grams or something like that. But if you're using a regular scale, it's not gonna start counting until it reaches like 20 grams because it needs more weight to start actually measuring. That's why so I do agree with her, and I realize the thing that I do have one of those scales that is pretty lightweight to where it doesn't need much weight to measure. So yes, you definitely need a gram scale or a kitchen scale to measure out your fragrance oil because they're so light. Now moving on from a gram scale, you will need a regular scale too, for shipping purposes. If you don't have, you know, your shipping information already logged in your stuff, so they can just purchase, you know, their product, and it automatically come up where they have to pay and you don't have to do anything, because some people still do it to where they measure everything one by one, in which you don't have to do that. You can measure each of your products and see how much it weighs. Do this in its final box, so like the way you're going to ship it, like even if it got bubble wrap on it or not, go ahead and put it on the scale and see how much exactly each product weighs and put it in your system. So if they add 1 t-shirt, 2 pairs of shoes, and 1 pair of earrings, all of that stuff. Like say if the earrings weigh 2 grams, the shirt weighs 10 ounces, and the pair of shoes weigh 20 ounces a piece. 20 plus 20 plus 10 plus the 2 grams, so 4 grams, they convert that or whatever. So it knows that this is how much the customer is going to pay, because this is how much your items weigh. So you don't have to go in there and, you know, measure each one hand by hand. You don't have to do that. You can put the information in there already, so that will help you a lot. But also, you know, just a regular scale on measuring your wax, or, you know, measuring to make sure your candles are precise. And this is something I want to do, because I see people, they pour their candles, but then it's like they're not really equal. So when they end up having more wax, or need to, you know, put more wax in each one of them, or like one candle doesn't look as full as the other one and whatnot. And I don't necessarily want to do that. You know, it could take more time, so it makes sense. Well, at some point I will get an automatic filling machine, so I won't have to, you know, measure it. But for right now, I do want to measure each of my candles to make sure they are 8 ounces a piece. So put it on the scale and measure, you know, and measure it out and make sure it's actually 8 ounces and not 8.5, and this one is 8.3, and this one is 7.6 and whatnot. So you just need a scale for regular things like that. Next, of course, is wick stickers. You're going to need something to adhere your wick to your jar. And with this being the case, some people, especially people who use wooden wicks, I've seen this trend where they just dip it in wax and sit it in the jar and think it's okay. Or they put it in the jar because it says the one is on, and they just pour wax in it. Like, it may work for them, but it's not the safest thing to do, because the wick can slide around, you know. Like, you can, so I would highly suggest using wick stickers, or even some type of red glue that you can use. I forgot what it's called. It's called red 4-5 some. It's some type of red glue that you can use for candle making as well, because it adheres, like it withstands a lot of heat. So like the wick will like never move, because it withstands even a close flame to it. You know, because even wick stickers can move sometimes, but it's safer than not having a wick sticker at all. And make sure you wipe the bottom of your jar with alcohol and dry it out, because that's flammable, and then put your wick sticker there so it'll adhere better. You need warning labels. Legally, you need warning labels. You're gonna have to put warning labels on the bottom of your candle jar. You can buy these pre-made. You can make them yourself. At some point, I'm extra, so in the beginning, I did want to make them by myself. I did want to make them myself, but thank God I've been trying to slow down and be okay. Even though you may have the money or you may not, whatever it may be, work off of a budget. It's okay. You can buy some regular ones, and later on we can do some custom ones. Or with boxes, I want to do custom boxes, or just or custom packaging tape, or just the fact that I want to use a regular white box. You know, what you have to pay for. Let's calm down. USPS has free boxes, even though it is more expensive to ship in them. So the customer will pay around $7-8 to ship, especially during COVID. The prices have, you know, risen that way too. But it's okay. We already got some free boxes. We can wait. You know, you can get some other stuff. You can go buy some stuff when you run out of them boxes. But keep these free, especially you just starting off. Try to keep costs to a minimum. We get there. I'm trying to pace myself, a thing that I've been doing so far. I'm just hoping that I don't do that too much to where I just forget or don't even want to get the custom packaging like I once wanted at first and whatnot. And then I'm using USPS all the time. I'm using Kraft brown box. I still want my brand. Like, I'm still scared that I could be like too in that mindset to where I can save money, to where I don't, you know, like create my brand and establish my brand as much as I should and as much as I wanted to in the beginning, you know. So I'm hoping that doesn't become a thing to where I see that I'm saving oh so much, and I'm like, okay, I get in this mindset of I can save, and I'm gonna use every box that I got. It don't matter if who company name on it, I'm gonna use it because I'm gonna recycle it. And it's like, no, create your brand. So I'm just afraid of that. But yeah, you're gonna need warning labels. That's legal stuff. You have to do that. Safety purposes too, even though they don't read them probably, but it protects you. Next, of course, with candle making, like in the beginning, I said temperatures are one of the most important things when it comes to candle making, because it can make or break your candle, literally. And safety reasons and just functionality reasons overall. So you're gonna need a thermometer. You can use a digital thermometer, even though those aren't the most accurate. Those aren't the most accurate because it's not like something you can stick in there. So either you can use the ones that like I have, right as of now, I have like the metal thermometer, like the cooking ones. You can use it for candle making too, and you can stick it in there. So it's something like that, or you can use the digital ones. Those aren't really as accurate because it's a laser and you're just not in there touching it. And also, it's only getting the temperature of the top of the wax. So make sure you stir it for a little and then you get the measure, because on top it may be cooler than the bottom and whatnot. So I believe I either have both thermometers listed down below from Amazon, or I just have one, which is the digital thermometer, which is still good. Just make sure you stir it so you can get an accurate temperature. And I don't have it as of now, but I will be purchasing it at some point when I do invest in that. Right now I have the metal one, and I'm not sure if I listed it. I may go back and list it if I can find something like very similar to mine, or mine that I did purchase, if I can find the link. Next, for Amazon Basics, will be a Presto pot, either with or without a spout, and I put both links down below as well. The one without a spout is the one that I currently do use, and the one with the spout is the one that I will be purchasing at some point as well. I do want like a bigger melter too, but we gotta build to that. So also with the Presto pot, you're gonna need a ladle with your Presto pot with no spout, because there's no way to, you can pour it, but if you pour it, be safe, be careful. In which I was doing it at some point, just for video, because I'm not really testing right now. I was just making content for my Instagram, and the last time I did that, I had a bit more wax in than I should have, and it got messy, and I could have been hurt, but thank God I was not. And whatnot, but it did get messy, and that's something that I don't want to deal with, especially with scented wax. I don't want to deal with that. So I got a ladle. It's small, but it's a ladle and whatnot. I really don't want to have to do that, because like if I'm making smaller quantities, then I'm scraping the bottom of it. Like I can't get it out. So make sure you be safe with that. If you're gonna pour directly like that, like I found that technique from Winnie and Wilson Candle Co. I watched her channel. She's a new candle maker as well, and I'm loving her videos so far. And thank God I found another candle maker as well, because I've been looking for some. Especially some more women entrepreneurs who make candles and whatnot, who I like their personality and their brand and whatnot. And she stood out to me as well. But she does that, and thank God she can do it safe. But I'm scared to do it. I made a mess, and it wasn't even completely full. It wasn't even half full, I don't even think so. And it made a mess, and I was like, ladle or like spout, but I'm trying to wait for that. But yeah, so either really be safe with that, or make sure you have a ladle. So basically make sure you have a ladle, be safe no matter how much you're pouring, or if you're gonna pour, at least try to have it less than halfway full, or like a small quantity to where you can't ladle it out. Another Amazon Basics is Wick Clips. You're gonna need something to keep your wicks in place when you're pouring, because you need to keep them centered, and it's as simple as that. There's many different ones on Amazon and all throughout, but I mean, you can get some pretty good ones off of Amazon. Right now I'm using clothespins that I purchased like a while ago for my first launch. I do want to invest in some, actually I want to invest in some custom ones off of Etsy. But if you don't want to use clothespins, I don't want to use clothespins, but I do just want to save some money, because with clothespins, yeah, the wick goes through, but it doesn't necessarily hold it, because it's not gripping the wick like an actual wick holder would. So I would highly suggest for you to invest in wick clips, rather than trying to be cheap and use clothespins, because it won't necessarily keep your wick centered. Like it'll try to keep it in the middle, but it won't be as straight up and erect as it could be, because it's not being pinched in place. So definitely invest in some wick clips and whatnot to keep your candles safe and from tunneling, and just from any accidents and just mishaps in your candle. Now we're on to either purchasing some Wick trimmers or some new nail clippers. So recently I want to get some Wick trimmers, but like I said, I'm trying to budget. So I just and I've seen it before where people use like nail clippers. Make sure they're brand new, of course. We're not using used nail clippers over here unless it's your own candle that you're not selling or something. I don't know. I don't know. But you can go the cheap route, getting just $1 pair of brand new nail clippers, or you can buy a $5 to $8 pair of wick trimmers and whatnot for an aesthetic, to trim your wick, of course, because that's, you know, one of the most important things, and for photo purposes and whatnot, and advertisement and marketing and whatnot, because it fits your brand aesthetic. Next thing is a piston funnel. A lot of people have been using piston funnels lately. In my opinion, I see it as just as another thing that you have to clean up, in my opinion. Yes, it does make it easier to pour. It's more controlled pour, but I believe, in my opinion, it's just too small of a portion because you have to keep going back and filling and whatnot, and then it could be getting cooler and cooler in the pitcher when you could have just been trying to pour in the pitcher. It is a bit more messier, but that's why I would suggest, well, I would suggest, you know, investing in a filling machine or something like that. But, you know, we're starting from scratch sometimes, so yeah, you may just want to invest in a piston funnel. You know, it's not too bad, but in my opinion, I think it's just too small of a batch, and you're going back and forth and going back and forth, you know, while it's cooling and getting a bit too cool over here, or just the fact that like it's just something else to clean up, because cleaning up wax and scented wax is already a hassle. And lastly, for Amazon basics, you're going to need a heat gun, especially if you are using soy wax or a wax that no matter what, or like it's very finicky with the temperatures that you pour and heat it up to and add fragrance oils at. When you're like letting it cool and you see like little like mistakes on your candle, if the wax is pulling away from the wick, if you can't necessarily see the little mistakes in your candles, little air pockets, I forgot what they're called, but if you can necessarily see those mistakes and you have to poke your candle to see like if there's like a little pocket where there's no wax in it at all, you definitely need a heat gun. I shouldn't need a heat gun with mine, because with my wax, it's so like smooth and like soft and creamy, but still has this like harder texture, but it's still like very soft. It's like a hardened Vaseline. With mine, it classifies itself and it markets as a, you know, a one pour wax, so I should be good on that point. But if you use soy wax or just a wax in general that's very finicky with temperature, and it's just prone to sink thing, and I remember sinkholes, if it's just prone to sinkholes, you're going to need a heat gun. And just for any imperfections at the top anyway, you're just gonna need a heat gun. And now for some quick extras. One thing that you can invest in, which I plan to invest in at some point when I grow and start making more and more candles, is a face respirator and the filters that go on them. Some people may see this as unnecessary, but if you're making a lot of candles, then you don't understand, especially being in an enclosed room where you can't open a window. You're not making candles outside. This isn't a factory. You're at home in your insulated home with all this heat going around and so many smells bouncing off of you. You're not making one candle at a time. You're not a customer burning one candle in each part of your house. It's one candle at all. You're making like 10, 12, 8 to 50 candles of 1 cent, either in all or 1 cent, like 12 candles. Like say if you gotta make a batch of 10 candles and you have 8 cents, you just made 80 candles within a few hours or in that day. Now your nose, and people have allergies as well, and like and not just allergies, but they're like, I forgot what it's called, but it's just you're just sensitive up here. Or it's like you can just get tired of it, and it won't be like, I like this smell. It'll be like, I'm used to this smell by now. You know, just protect yourself, and because you can get a sensory overload. You just sensitive up here. You can get chest pains and start feeling tightness up here. Like all of that smell is not good for you. And also you can get like congestion and headaches and just feel clouded. So yeah, that's not the safest thing. So don't let people fool you like, oh, you don't have, that's extra. even if it is extra, like it's helpful, and whatnot. Because I learned that from Memory Box Candle Coach. She inspired me to do that. So it's like, and it makes sense. It honestly makes sense. And I would defend her on that. It makes sense. You're making so many candles and you're saying that, but that just either means you're a consumer and you're only burning one candle at a time or in a day, or one candle in each part of your room, but you get a separation from that. You get enjoyment from that. We're making them, or if you're a maker, then you're set. Like, either you're not as bothered by stuff as easily as other people are, which, you know, good for you. That's a blessing. You're not making a lot of candles in your business, or you're just in a big yet to be worried about it. You have an insulated place, or whatever. You just don't necessarily see it as that, you know. But yeah, everything works for different people, and it makes sense. That's something that you need to, you know, care about, and make sure you take care of your health. Next is something extra is gift boxes, and just wrapping paper and tissue, just the things that can, you know, separate you from others, and just to honestly establish your brand and whatnot. And gift boxes, the labels are going to close the gift boxes, what you're going to put in the gift boxes, you know, what size gift box need to be and whatnot. Something else is your shipping materials. I would highly suggest, well, this is actually an Amazon thing, so I put it's in the description list down below. Thermal wrap, especially during the summer. Thermal wrap is like a insulated bubble wrap that you wrap around your candle, especially during the summer time when you're shipping out things, when it can be hot and your jar adhesive, you know, can loosen, your wax can melt, especially if you have a low temperature or a low melt point wax, like mine is a low point, a low melt point wax. It melts immediately at 125 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe. And also it's a soft wax in general. So I have to be careful when shipping out my candles. So I'm not just gonna use thermal wrap. Excuse me, I'm not just gonna use thermal wrap in the summer. I'm using it all throughout. So that's a piece of my cost of goods. Like, that's gonna be included in the shipping or the product of my cost of goods. Cause I'm not trying to, especially if it's in Texas, regardless of whether it's summer or not, it's always gonna be hot somewhere. You don't know. So I'm always using insulated bubble wrap. Next is either you have to decide whether you're going to sell online, and if you're selling sell online or in person. If you're selling in person, you can do pop-up shops, so that's a lot of extra stuff that you need to pay for. A lot of videos out there on that, which I've been looking into that too, but I'm trying to get what I can do on social media for right now. And if you're gonna do it based off of social media, you're gonna get Instagram, Facebook, and also either use Etsy and make sure you calculate your fees and you are charging enough to where those fees don't eat out of your cost too much. There's Etsy, and also there's your own website, in which most websites like Shopify is one of the best ones, and Wix. I currently use Wix. I've already got a design to where I'm gonna purchase it later on to use it, because Wix is just easier for me to use. And honestly, design, Shopify is very hard to design, and with which brings me to another cost of either having the website fee of $30 a month for your website, or including the fee of a professional creating your website if you don't know how to do that, especially with Shopify, because Shopify is so difficult for me. And Shopify, it doesn't give me the look that I'm going for with the free things. It just don't give me the look I'm going for. So I would have to hire a professional, a few hundred or a few dollars and whatnot to create the look that I'm going for, or to create a functional website in general off of Shopify, because it is one of the better websites. I do agree with that, but I think Wix is okay. It doesn't help you, market like Shopify does, and when it'll give you all the bonuses, but it's easier to use. It's something to start off with, and it's still $30 too and whatnot. And next to that is a domain, getting a domain for your website, especially if you're trying to put your straight up link in Instagram, because at some point when I had my link on my Instagram bio without a custom domain, it was .wixsite.com. It got flagged for some reason, so now I use Linktree. So Linktree, you can invest in that too. That's free, you don't have to pay for that, but if you want to, you can and whatnot. But yeah, so you're going off of Etsy, so consider your fees and charge enough. Sell in person, so that's pop-up shop, and stuff like that. They have fees too, and also just the things that you need in general. A website like Shopify and Wix and whatnot. $30 fee every month and whatnot. There's also higher things. There's also higher subscriptions to pay for. QuickBooks. This isn't necessarily like more for the website. It's just like it's a part of the extras of, you know, just accounting. So I'm gonna scratch it out. But yeah, that. There's also just hiring a website designer professional to create a website for you if you don't have the design skills, you just don't know how to, or you don't want to be, or you don't want to deal with it, or it's just difficult to do and whatnot. And what else? And next is investing in the supplies that you need for your product photography. If you're going to take the photos yourself, or, you know, invest and save up for someone to take your product photography photos for you. There's another investment of purchasing a new phone or new camera equipment to help you get better quality. Like thank God, I was able to invest in this phone that I have now, because I was afraid to make videos before, and I was making videos before, and I just wasn't happy with the quality, because honestly it wasn't good quality. But now I have an iPhone 13 and whatnot. I'm making pretty good content. I'd say it looks pretty nice. I can record in 4K. I can record in HD, even though it doesn't upload in HD. And like it takes a lot of time to upload that much. So honestly, like my last video uploaded that I recorded in HD only went up to like 1080p. So I lowered the quality on this one to like 4K. So I don't know where I'm gonna be able to upload this and get it out quicker to where it doesn't default my quality to such bad quality and whatnot. But you definitely invest in your equipment if you can, save up and whatnot. You can start off where you are, because what you have is what you need, honestly. It's just with me, it was just, I was so afraid when I was doing it, and I was like, oh, it looks nice, but it's like in reality it really doesn't. And I now having a updated iPhone, I have realized that things like Android photos and videos, even if it does look good to you, it does not translate well on iPhone at all. So even if it did look good, if somebody got an iPhone, it's a no-go. It looks terrible, and I now know that. But yeah, and here's the end of the video. I hope you liked my list. Hopefully it made sense and I didn't ramble too much. Hopefully you understood what I was saying. And I will have, of course, like little cards, you know, separating them so you can see exactly what I was saying. The links are in the description down below for everything, especially Amazon that I described, because I have the links, I have the quick links to those already. So if you're interested in any of those, click in the links and, purchase whatever you feel comfortable purchasing, whatever you need for your business, you didn't know that you needed, or you did need and you need the link to it, whatever it may be. Comment down below, chat it up with me and whatnot. So I'm still growing and whatnot. Still figuring out an outro and an intro, but I'm trying. I believe it's better than the last one. I'm talking consistently. My acid reflux is messing with me, because that last video I was doing all of that. It was like my acid reflux had triggered really bad actually around that time. So, but thank God I'm all right now, and I did it a lot less. Even though you can see me doing it a little bit, like around the end, towards the end, but it wasn't nearly as bad as the other video. I looked back and I said, ugh, I don't like that, but I believe it's better, and I genuinely hope so. But yes, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something and you find it useful, and you subscribe and you comment and you get to know me, and we can grow together if you're another candle maker. And you can also just watch me if you're just a customer or just someone who liked these videos and just so happen to be here. You can just follow our journeys and whatnot. And the other people that I described in this video, their links are going to be down here in the description as well, or in the comment section pinned, and whatnot, so you can check them out. I learned a lot from them, and you'll be able to learn a lot from them as well, and hopefully I can be up there with them at some point, and you'll be learning a lot from me. But yeah, see you later, guys, and yeah.